got a special sponsor today. It's Matt Ollis with East Insurance. And I've worked with his company, him and a guy named Peter Sturdivant. I've probably known Peter since 2011 or 12, probably at least by 2012. Guys, they do a great job. They take great care of clients. And he's sponsoring today. And Matt, if you want to stand up and give us the 30-second commercial about your company.
Thanks for having us. We're coming out on this beautiful day. So I'm Matt with East Insurance. We're an independent agency in East Nashville. And we're great for first-time home buyers with tech DTI, but also real estate investors with large portfolios. We have a lot of competitive options. We're quick. So if you're a lender, we're going to get back to you immediately. Your clients, you know what, you're not going to be waiting on us. And in terms of your clients too, we take our time explaining the coverages. We want to give them the option to decide which coverages they want, which coverages they don't want, and that way if something happens, at least that chance to talk about it. So thanks for having me, and have East Insurance.
Yeah, and guys, I can absolutely vouch for them. Literally, probably hundreds of clients we've had over the 10 years, 12 years that we've known these guys. So they do a great job. Next quick question, guys. Today we're talking about your massive action plan, your how to win the amazing race of this year. We're right early in the year. I think everybody raised their hand when they're excited about this year. Who's seen activity pick up? We've seen activity picking up. Now, closings take a while, right? We're in a pipeline business 60, 90 days out, but activity is picking up. So we want to write down, what do you want to learn specifically today to make sure we cover as we go through building out your plan for 2024. And Clint's going to take notes, so you can just shout it out. We're not doing table work here. So what would you guys like to learn today? What do you want to cover? All right, so guys, we have several loan officers here. Mr. Daryl Harvey, I always tell him, man, don't look better than me, and then he shows up and he always looks better than me. Got the three-piece suit, he can't help it. So, and if you are a loan officer, please stand up. A loan officer with our company. A couple loan officers, maybe not with our company. You got Paul back here. Everybody say hi to Paul. You got Mitch, Callie. So guys, if your loan officer invited you here, and I know we got several folks that aren't here in person, we had a couple loan officers that had some conflicts, and then we got a lot of folks online too. So if your loan officer invited you here today and you get a lot of value, please, we do this for your benefit. We do it to bring you value, and we do it so that you can go out and grow your business. That's our job. If I can help my referral partners grow their business, I'm doing a good job for my referral partners. Real quick, at your table, I want you to discuss a couple things. What is a personal goal that you have for 2024? And what is your unit goal, okay? I'd rather say units than volume, because sometimes you can get lucky and sell the $2 million lake home or something like that. But I'd say, hey, how many units do you want to do for 2024? So real quick, back of a piece of paper, let's scratch that, put that down, and share it at your table. I want everybody to scratch out that unit goal and add at least 3 units or 25%. Okay? Scratch it out. Let's make a bigger goal. If your goal is 10 units, go to 13. We're going to go at least 3. Hey, we talked about, if I invited you here, I guarantee you what we give you today is going to help you close at least 3 more units, right? So we got to take that goal and we got to bump it up. Now, if you have a huge goal of 30, let's go up 25%. 25% of 30 is another 7 units, right? Let's make a bigger goal. It's January. We got the whole year, and I believe we have a little bit less of a headwind, right? As rates go up, it's a headwind in our business. We're not going to have that this year. Rates, I don't think, are going to go up. I think they're probably going to continue to fall and create some tailwind for us. So let's set bigger goals. So take whatever your goal was. Hey, I'm doing more. Okay, that's the first thing we want to do, is set bigger goals. And a little question there, how are you doing so far? How are you doing so far? We're 3 weeks into the year. Do you feel like the activity's picking up? I feel good. My units for January aren't great, right? It's a reflection of what November and October looked like. That's January. But what I'm doing in January makes March and April look a lot better. Okay, so that's what we're really going to be working on today. Guys, we're going to talk about the success cycle, okay? And this is something that I love, and I teach this a lot. If you've been around me, you may have seen this before, but it starts with your belief in who you are, right? If I believe that I am a 10 unit a year producer, that's what I'm going to be. I believe I can do it. I'm going to knock it out. There are people that believe they're a 100 unit a year producer and a 200 units per year producer. So it all starts with your beliefs, and that turns into what you think about. If I believe, hey, I'm going to close 20 units every month, and that's what I think about all the time. How am I going to close 20 units a month? Number one, am I going to do that by myself? No. Absolutely not. Even if you work 24 hours a day, you're probably not going to close 20 units a month every month because you literally don't have time to do it. So the thought process is, hey, that changes what I'm thinking about. I gotta have a team, I gotta have systems, I gotta have structure. It turns into how I feel. When you have really good beliefs and really good thoughts, how do you feel? You feel like, let's get up and go make it happen, right? It turns into your emotions. That turns into what? Your actions. What actions are you taking on a daily basis? What am I doing Wednesday afternoon, Thursday morning, Friday? Which turns into what? Yell it out. Results. My results, right? So this is a cycle. When I have strong beliefs that turn into positive thoughts, that turn into good emotions, and I take the action that I need to take, it turns into the results that I want. Guys, I want everybody to write this down online too. The activity is the win. I've learned that over and over and over. Sometimes I have to teach it to myself again, right? We all want to get to a big month of closings, right? Like, what would be a huge month in real estate? 10 closings in a month, would that be a huge month for a realtor? It'd be a huge month, right? But there's activities that get you there, and thinking about I need to close 10 loans a month or closings a month, as a realtor's not gonna happen. But this cycle builds on itself. As you do more and you get better results, what happened to your beliefs when I get great results? What happens to my beliefs? I believe I can do more. What happens to my thoughts and my emotions? I feel great, I just had a great month. I'm gonna take those actions again. It's gonna lead to even better results. Now, what can also happen in reverse? You gotta be really careful. And what happened is rates went up and people said, I'm not buying. And you went to that listing, you're like, man, we can make so much money if I list your house, and look what you can do. Chris, I've got a 2.99 rate and I ain't giving it up. You had those conversations.
Had that conversation 2 days ago.
Had that conversation 2 days ago, right? So it created a little headwind, and our results, even though our other things may be good, the results may drop a little, and we gotta be really careful that it doesn't hurt our beliefs. Oh, I can't do what I used to do.
And just walking through that. So if the belief is everybody's got a low rate, nobody wants to buy a house, then what's gonna turn into? Well, I'm in a negative headspace, thus I'm down. I don't want to get out and make any phone calls. I don't want to meet new people. Why would I go out and go on a listing appointment? They're not going to want to sell. Like, their rate's too low. The new rate's going to be too high. So I'm not doing the actions. My results are going to suck. And then what's going to happen? It's going to turn right back around, and it's going to continue that negative cycle, right? So we've got to be super, super conscious of what we believe and what we're telling ourselves to start the cycle. We all want to start with, results in mind, or like looking at the results to start shaping everything else. We got to go way, 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 way before that if we're ever going to get the results that we want. Does that make sense?
So guys, we're going into the 5 steps. We talked about we're going to have 5 steps today. We're going to talk about the first 3, and then we're going to give you a lot on step 4. But it all starts with your mindset, right? The beliefs. And, I always like the quarter thing. If I hold up a quarter, I'm gonna use, man, you sit in the front, you're gonna get picked on.
I got you. No,
all right, right? So if I hold up a quarter and he describes that quarter, and let's just pretend,
okay.
I don't care which side you describe the quarter. What do you see?
It's got George Washington on it.
Got a head on it, right? And I'm looking at it like, no, dude, it's got an eagle.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, we're describing the same thing. The difference is how we're looking at it, right? And how we look at this tougher market. Is it a challenge that I'm gonna crush and I'm gonna come out the other side and this is gonna be a great opportunity for me? Or do I look at it from a totally different point of view of, oh my goodness, I got a mountain to climb and I can't do it. So how you look at things is a huge deal in life. So focus on the positive. And I got the quote, when we change how we look at things, the things we look at start to change. I love this exercise. Real quick, guys, everybody look around the room and find everything that's brown. It's one of my favorite exercises. Find everything that's brown in the room. Check it out, look around. Yeah, you can even name it. All right, has everybody got a lot of brown stuff?
Yeah.
Awesome, now close your eyes. Close your eyes, you can't cheat. Yeah, close your eyes. And remember everything that you saw that was blue. Okay, everything, you saw a lot of blue, right? Now open your eyes and look around. How much more blue do you see? Shirts. There's quite a bit of blue. Carpet. Now, how many people, when they opened their eyes, saw more blue? Because there was more blue there. I threw blue everywhere when you closed your eyes, didn't I? No, it's what you focused on. And when you focus on, it will grow in your life. And that can go in your relationship, that can go at home, that can go with work, everything. Focus on what's positive and grow that what's positive, Because the next thing is the next quote here. We can choose what to focus on because what is wrong is always there. What's wrong with me and my wife's relationship? I can focus on it. Like,
I'll give you some ideas.
He has plenty for me and my wife, right? She has a list 100 long, or she can say, hey, I'm gonna focus on the 3 things that you do okay, Chris, right? It's kind of a joke. I think the list might be kind of even, I don't know. But anyway, right, if I focus on the little nitpicking things in my house that's not perfect, or I just focus on the things that are good, I have a totally different reality in my life every day. And that's a struggle sometimes. Sometimes I get up and I have to go in and like, hey, I'm gonna focus on what's great and be like that. And when you have a negative, who has negative thoughts, right? Absolutely. Get rid of that negative thought, and you can have that negative thought, you can have that frustration for 90 seconds, right? And then say, you know what? The frustration is not gonna get me out of it. Let's focus on what I need to do. To choose to focus on what is good in life, we have so much to be thankful for. Guys, so this is the 1 through 3 steps. What number are we starting with?
3.
It's a confusing thing, right? So we're gonna start with number 3. Most people start with strategy. And I'm gonna use weight loss as a thing because that's kind of the new year thing. I wanna lose 5 pounds or whatever it is, okay? Most people start with strategy, but that's a mistake. Are there multiple strategies that work if you wanna lose weight?
Yes.
Where can you find a strategy to lose weight? 8,000 of them right here, right? If you did a Google search within 7-mile radius of here, how many gyms are within 7 miles here? 10 miles? 15 or 20, right? How many personal trainers can you hire? So is strategy the problem, right? How many people know if you exercise more and you eat, I don't necessarily, you don't have to eat less, you have to eat clean. I think that's the big key, right? But there's plenty of strategies that work to lose weight, but people struggle with it, right? And that's usually because they tell themselves the wrong story. They're asking themselves the wrong question. They have a story, right? They say, I'm big boned, I can't lose weight. All right, who's heard this? And this can be about weight or this can be about your business. I've tried everything. Who said that? I've tried everything, right? Well, you got everything? Well, I've tried 1,000 things. Really? Name them. Well, I tried 2 things that didn't work and I gave up, right? And that's their story. So I love those, something I love to work on is the I am statements. And if you can teach this to your kids and you can learn this, if you fill in that blank, that's who you are, okay? Do we have anybody in here that's not a smoker? That's not a smoker, okay? So Daryl, if I offer you a cigarette and you're not a smoker, and you say, I'm not a smoker, I say, Daryl, come on, let's smoke this cigarette. What are you gonna say?
No,
Why?
I'm not smoking.
I'm not a smoker, right? If you're a realtor that closes 20 deals a year, and that's who I am, and I believe that that's my minimum, and I'm gonna go to 30 and 40 and 50 and 60, and that's who you are, you will become that. You can fill in those I am statements, and you have to believe it. You can't say, I'm a billionaire. If you don't believe it, your mind says, no, you're not, right? But if you believe it with all your heart and you fill in that blank and teach your kids these things, I am, and it can be short statements. I am energy. Like if you feel like crap, say, hey, I'm energy, get a little energy. And your mind will figure out how to make that work. And then also guys, what's your why? What's my story? Part of my story is my why. Why do I get up out of bed? You know, I had a great mentor tell me one time, I was frustrated about something. He's like, Chris, you don't have to be at work. I'm like, man, I gotta do this, and I got this, and I got this list. He's like, Chris, you don't gotta do anything. You live in the United States of America. You can go home, watch Dr. Phil. I was like, I guess I could. And he's right. I can do whatever I want, but I have a why. Why am I at work if I'm frustrated or I'm struggling through 8% interest rates back in September or whatever we were looking at, right? Well, I have a why. I want to provide for my family. As a man, I can't sit at home. Like the snow, 2 days we were good. I was like, all right, I got to go to work, right? I got to have something to do. So, you know, what is your why? Guys, real quick, write it down. Why do you do what you do? Why do you work? Because you could be at home right now. You could not be here. I know this is super riveting and this is the most entertaining you could be possibly. But why are you here? I know why you're here, because you want to get better. That's the only reason you would come to a seminar. I'm a seminar junkie. I remember in 2005, some guy came, what was that guy's name? Remember the?
JP.
Yeah. So I can't remember. He was hilarious. He was funny. He invited us to another seminar, which me and Clint both went to. I paid for all the CDs. Brian Tracy.
But Brian and Tracy didn't come. The guy came selling his.
Yeah, the guy came selling Brian Tracy's stuff, and then we went to Brian Tracy's seminar, and I bought
Memphis.
in Memphis. We drove to Memphis. It was the first time I did this, and I bought all his stuff. It was $400 worth of CDs, and I listened to him. I burned those things up. Right? I'm trying to learn time management, goal setting, all this stuff. And Brian Tracy's is, and he's still out there, by the way. It's 2005 probably. Brian Tracy's still out there. So I had a why of I was compelled to go. So what is your why? Write that down. Hopefully you've already done that. All right, which it starts with, okay, so it's in reverse order. What everything really starts with is your state. What is your state? Somebody tell me what your state is. What is it, Carolyn? Trying to be quiet.
It's your mindset.
It's your mindset. It's your energy. It's the state of who you are, right? And it's your physical energy, and this is something you can control, okay? Guys, you guys all been sitting down for a minute. Stand up real quick and stand like Superman or Superwoman. Hands on your hips and chest out, flexing, all right? Take a couple deep breaths in. All the way in. You guys online, you do it too. I know you're sitting at home. Who has a little bit more energy just from standing like that versus sitting down? So that's one way you can control your state. They've done studies. If you stand like that for 2 minutes, like Superman, and you kind of flex a little bit. When I flex, you can't even tell, but it is what it is, right? But I feel it. So if you stand like that for 2 minutes, it lowers your cortisol level and you have more energy. They've done scientific studies on it, okay? If you move your body in other ways, it can even be more. So your state, your physical energy is where life happens. High energy is the key to life. Nothing happens in a low energy state, okay? Have you ever changed your life when you had no energy? Think about your wedding day or a big day, the day you asked your future wife on that first date. Did you walk up to her and like, or were you nervous and you had energy? Now, it may have been a little clunky because you were nervous, but I promise you didn't have low energy, right? So anything you've ever done in life that changed your life for the better, you had energy when you did it, okay? I'll ask you this real quick too. Think about a time, a newlywed. Who's been a newlywed? The honeymoon phase, right? What state are you in that phase? You're in love. Is there anything that's wrong in life when you're newlywed? I was completely broke. Anybody else completely broke when you got married? I was 23 years old, right? But life was good because you're in that phase, right? The wife says, take out the trash. Of course I'll take out the trash. How many bags is it? Give me more. Let me take out all the trash. Is there any trash in that room? Right? What happens after 7 months, 7 years? I've been married 20 years, right? The wife might say, take out the trash. And because I have a different state, I'm no longer in honeymoon. My state drops, my energy drops. I had a bad day at work. And I might say, well, who am I? Your janitor? Right? What's the difference? That energy, right? So if you'll show up to life with higher energy, I promise you, you will have bigger results in your life. So if you're at work, who's been at work and been low energy? Had a bad call, like you had that appointment and it didn't go the way you wanted it. You feel down. Stand up. Heck, sometimes I jump. I have a little trampoline in my office. I'll get a little trampoline and I'll just kind of jump a little bit. Listen to a little music, shake my body, and I feel so much better. I'll go from a 4 or 5 on energy back up to a 7 or 8. Okay? And Craig's back there like he would love to see that, right? I don't do it a lot, but I've done it. I do it. So guys, it goes to, yes, please.
They gonna keep standing?
Oh, you guys can sit down, or if you feel better, you're allowed to stand up the whole time.
You're all very welcome for that. Just real quick, because state is so important, and you gave a tactic or two. Are there more tactics?
Yes.
To that, like I know music is one. You
Yeah.
could play some old school country music if that makes you feel great, or play something that's upbeat. But I know for myself, like if I play music that I really like, I will notice within 2 or 3 songs, I'm like smiling, right? And I went from being down to being like smiling, not even intentionally doing this, just because like I'm hearing stuff that kind of gets me going, right?
Yeah.
What else?
So exercise, guys. If you're not exercising, you gotta do it. I look at Mitch and heck, Paul Rippey too. These guys work out, and Mitch, you have more energy. And I won't say Mitch has lost a few pounds. And how much better do you feel today versus then? 100 times better, right? So guys, you gotta have a workout regimen. And it doesn't have to be running a marathon every day. It doesn't have to be making yourself, just get up, get on the treadmill for 20 minutes, go walk outside for 20, 30 minutes, start somewhere.
Sunlight. Like I know we don't
Sunlight
talk
is
about this a
huge.
lot. Like being outside, letting your eyes see sunlight early in the day. Like studies show scientifically it improves like your brain function and your brain health. Little, like super easy things to do. Wake up, walk outside, look into the sky. Like these things will make us have a better day.
Meditation's another one. There's priming. If you look up and search priming on YouTube, and it's a way you kind of meditate while you focus on gratitude. You spend 10 minutes in the morning doing that. Cold plunge. Who's ever done a cold plunge? Woo, it's rough. But cold showers is part of it. That's right.
I've done that.
The cold showers and cold plunges. How much more energy do you have when you get out of a cold shower or a cold plunge? If you're asleep when you go in, you're awake in about 2 seconds, right? Because your body literally goes into fight or flight and your adrenaline pumps up. So guys, if you'll manage your state, I promise you the other things will
And then
happen.
the last thing I'm gonna say, it begins with awareness. When we realize like my energy's low, I don't feel great, we then get to choose like, well, what am I going to do? Am I just gonna like feel like crap today? Or am I going to do something to try to change it? And it begins with awareness. So start asking yourself, put a little sticky note on your computer wherever you start your day. Where is my energy? What is my state? We never want to go into making calls feeling like Eeyore, right? Because the person on the other line of that phone call feels your energy and they don't like it, right? When you go into that and you're feeling good, you got energy, you're feeling positive, the person on the other end of that line, they feel it. And they like talking to us when we have that. So awareness is super key. And I think a lot of times we don't think about it. We just roll into our day with bad energy and we keep it all day because we never stop to think, how am I feeling and how can I show up bigger with more energy?
Yeah. Guys, real quick, I want you to write down this. Progress equals happiness. When you're making progress toward anything in your life, you will feel a little bit of joy, a little bit of happiness, right? If you have a goal that, hey, I want to weigh a certain amount and you get 2 pounds closer, are you mad that you don't weigh that overnight or in a week, right? It's that progress, right? If you got a goal that I want to close 2 deals a month, which is 24 for the year, so I got to go for 24 this year, and in February I only have 4. Dang it. No, wait, I'm making progress. So guys, anytime you're making progress in life, it gives you that dopamine. So just always know it doesn't have to be perfect. Make progress. If you're not exercising, when you leave here today, go exercise for 20 minutes. Literally, you could walk around this hotel back and forth for 20 minutes. Or if it's raining, do it inside. But like, you'll have that progress. Like, hey, I did something. I took a step.
And just before we go to this, you want to walk through like how you begin with state, but then that helps you develop the story.
Yeah. So yeah, going back, and we'll hit this really quick, but if you have a great state and high energy, then it goes into that success cycle. Then my story is so much easier because I have energy. I feel like I can conquer the world. I feel like I can make this happen. I feel like I'm guided. If you know me, you know that faith is a big thing for me. And I feel like bad things happen, good things happen, but it's all guided and it's going to get me where God wants me to be if I have that faith, right? So my story is I'm going to be successful. I'm going to use that success to help other people. I'm going to use that success to give. And when I have that mentality, my story is easy. Even when things are bad, when our business as an industry was down about 70% from the peak of 2020 to the low of 2022, okay? 70% drop. Now, it's hard to always manage your state and everything, but I knew my story is I'm gonna be okay. I'm always gonna be okay. That's my story. I'm gonna be successful, okay? Then the strategy is easy, okay? If I have the right story and the right state, I'll figure out the strategy. There's 100 strategies that work. The paleo diet, the keto diet, the whatever diet or whatever exercise. Like how many trainers you could hire any one of these trainers. If you do what they tell you, I promise you'll see improvement. Any of them. Even the worst one, if you do what they say, you'll get some improvement. Now, there are other trainers that you'll get better improvement, but the strategy will come, okay? And that's what we're gonna be talking about a little bit next, is the daily activity. Guys, we're gonna jump into what is your plan, what are you doing on a daily basis, and really dive into that. Guys, I said this, I think already, the activity right now is the win. Mitch, we've been saying that all year, right? Focus on doing the activity. If you have more phone calls, you ask for the business, you have more meetings with people who say they don't want to sell right now, they're going to want to sell at some point. The only reason they met with you, Chris, is because they want to sell.
Yeah.
They just have a reason or something story that they're telling themselves of why they're not right now. But at some point, they're going to sell.
Yep.
And they're going to call
That's
you.
it.
Or you're going to be calling them proactively
Oh, yeah.
before they even need to call you, okay? Activity breeds activity also. I love that statement. Sometimes when I'm in a funk and I'm not busy, I'm not being active, I'm like, man, why is my phone not ringing? And then 2 weeks later, I get out of that, I change my state, and I change my story, and I'm making a bunch of phone calls and I'm doing a lot of activity. Then I'm like, all of a sudden my phone's ringing. Why is that? Well, the activity breeds more activity, and that works all the time.
That just goes back to that success cycle. If we're waiting for the result to spur us on to the right mindset and the right actions and all of that, we're going in the reverse order, and that doesn't work, right? So,
Last one's take massive action.
yeah. So we're going to go over 2 forms that we've used for
2011,
15 years.
13, 14 years.
Yeah, I mean, we started using it even before we got in coaching. So, two of the forms that really changed our business. One, and they're both trackers, right? I hate to say this, like, this is not a magic pill. This is not the most, sexy idea that you could ever have when it comes to business that nobody's ever heard of. That when you hear it, your mind is going to be blown and you're just going to think, wow, how has no one ever told me to do more activity, see more people, make more phone calls? That's really what it's going to boil down to, right? And the key is to track what we're actually doing. And if we want better results, what do? We do more activity, right? So we're going to go over the massive action plan. We used to call it a greatness tracker. It's different now, but a lot of similarities. And we're going to go over our referral tracker. Again, where we track our leads. Where is our business coming from? Who's sending it to us? How are we getting it? And what does that conversion look like?
So they have this, you guys have this in your folder. I'm gonna cover the very top part, and then Clint's gonna cover the next one. So I kind of rearranged this. We've had this for years and years. This is nothing but an Excel sheet, okay? So you can create this from scratch in about 10 minutes. It's not that special, but what you do with it can transform your business. I started using this probably in 2009 or 10, kinda, and then in 2011, I started getting coached on it and held accountable to it, and my business tripled in 2012, okay? And from there, we grew some more, but I added a few things to it. Number one is my morning routine. Every day, yes or no, and there's a weekend. So at the top, you're gonna see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and weekend, okay? Did I do my morning routine? My morning routine consists of getting up, and if I work out, if I hit the treadmill, go to the gym, usually on the way to the gym, I'm praying, doing some affirmations, that kind of stuff. Did I do it? Yes or no? And your morning routine might be different. You may say, hey, did I get up and have some quiet time and get my kids to school? That's my morning routine.
But it's detailed. It's not haphazard. It's not, I do a couple of things. It's like,
Yeah.
There's 4 things, 5 things.
Yeah, yours can be different.
What is yours?
I get up, I get the gym, which is usually cardio and sometimes lift weights. On the way, I'm usually say my prayer and do some affirmations. So it's about 3 things. If I do those 3 things, I want to add cold plunge to it. I can't get out of the bed and jump in a pool that has ice on top of it. I've done it a few times, but that's not. And then the next one, which it goes into, is your energy level. Every day I want to track, how do I feel? Is it okay to write down a 3 if you feel like a 3? Because you then recognize it. If I write down in the morning, I want to write that down in the morning, not at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, I'm kind of burnt. Write it down. What I feel like at 9 o'clock when I'm in the office working. If it's a 3, hey, I need to take a minute, stand like Superman, breathe deep, maybe listen to 2 or 3 songs, and then I'm going to feel like a 6 or 7. How much difference is a 7 versus a 3? You may not get to 10 every day, but you can absolutely improve it. So we're tracking that every day and looking at that energy level. Then I have something personal, and you got this on your sheet. And for me, it's, did I share my faith today? okay? That's something that's been a big thing for me that I've tried to really work on over the last 10 years. 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't have shared my faith like I do today. And it's something that it's on my sheet every day. And I say yes or no. Did I do it? And that can be as simple as a conversation with somebody at the gym. It could be if I'm on coaching, I'm sharing a Bible verse. It could be that I'm studying the Bible with my kids. But did I share it? Not just did I study it myself. And you can change that. It does not have to be yours. You can edit that to whatever your personal thing is that you want to be. Then we're getting into what are we doing on a day-to-day basis. This is a little different, Clint, for realtors versus loan officers, because we call realtors, right? I would definitely not suggest you guys call realtors for business. Not that you couldn't call them in a different market, but that's not one of y'all's targets. So we have a little bit different targets for you guys. And Clint's gonna go over the top part, and you'll see that this is like a funnel, okay? Lots of phone calls, face-to-face, break breads, thank you cards, referrals, and then deals, which is like a signed contract, okay? So if you'll start tracking this, you'll see the activity increase, which will really increase your business. So Clint, let's go over voice to voice.
So first thing is phone calls. You have to choose what your goal is going to be. I always use this as an example. Chris and I, we've gone back to 2010 when we first got this form, when we started using it. And before we ever used it, it was, how many people do I think I talk to every week? Probably about 40 or 50, don't you think? You were like, yeah, man, I'm probably talking about 50 people a week. Then you start tracking it, and you get to the end of the week, and you're at like 21 people. You realize, wow, I'm doing like half of what I thought I was actually doing. Because when you write it down and you become aware of it, you see what your activity actually is. It's no different than when you start tracking what you eat, right? We're doing this health theme, I guess, because it's January. When you track everything that you eat, that chocolate chip cookie doesn't look as attractive. You're like, crap, man, I'm gonna have to put that in the app. See how many calories it is. I don't think I want to waste the calories on this chocolate chip cookie right now. Definitely not going to eat 4 or 5 of them, because if I have to write that down, that makes me like kind of not feel good about myself, even though they were delicious. The same thing with our business. We need to know how many people am I currently talking to on a weekly basis, daily basis, then weekly basis. And then if we want to do more business, we have to add to it. Does anybody in here know how many people that you talk to on a daily basis or a weekly basis? Like every single week?
The guys that use this form.
Yeah. Anybody who didn't raise their hand, would that help you grow your business if you're aware of it and you track it? Right? How easy is it to track something like this? It's simple. It's not easy. Okay? There's a difference. It's simple. Writing down a name or putting a check mark every time you have a phone conversation with a client or a referral source, that's a simple thing. It's hard to fill out this form. Like, this form sits on my desk and I kind of hate it, okay? But I know that it's brought a lot of value to my life and my business, and I've done a lot more business because of it, because it pushes me to do more. If I say I want to talk to 10 people or 12 people or 15 people a day, and I look up and it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I've talked to like 3 people, I'm like, okay, I gotta like block off some time, and I gotta get serious about making some phone calls. Because I don't want to get to the end of the day and get to the end of the week and be at 22 phone conversations, because I know that's not getting it done for the level of business that I want to do. You've got to be super clear on what level of business you want to do, set that goal, and then start tracking it. And then at the end of the week, you judge yourself on, how much business did I close? Because I worked really hard for 4 or 5 days, right? Because that's all it takes is working hard for 4 or 5 days and your business explodes. It's not how it works, is it? You do that and you don't have any deals at the end of the week, and then we tell ourselves the story of, that form doesn't work. Chris he's just good looking. That's why he's successful. It's not because of this form. We tell ourselves it doesn't work because we didn't do it long enough to see the actual results. I went to the gym one time and I didn't lose 20 pounds that day. So the gym, it didn't work for me, right? It's like, no, you've got to do it for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. And then you look up and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to close all the business that I have. My pipeline is so full. If I don't hire someone, I'm just going to make a bunch of people mad because so many people want to use me right now, and I'm limited in how much my capacity is. That's what happens. But we never get to 6 months. Most of us never get to week 2. Does that make sense? Because we work really hard for a couple days and then we don't have the results, or we run out of people to call. And so we just say, this just actually doesn't work. I need a Facebook campaign. That's what's going to work for me. I'm just going to tell you guys, nothing is going to beat the phone other than get in front of people face to face, and the phone is how you do it. Like we make enough phone calls to set the appointment.
Hang on, let me just, for everybody that's online that may not be able to hear you, you did this form for 3 days, 1 day last week and 2 days this week. Terrible results. She only got 2 land deals, 1 seller, and a buyer? 2 sellers? Okay, so 2 land deals and 2 sellers, so 4 deals in 3 days of doing calls. You should definitely not do this form
Yeah, I was
anymore.
gonna say.
You should give it up.
I was wrong.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but
Sorry,
I want to
yeah.
make sure they can
Did you have more to say? Did you have more to say?
Yeah.
You
So
don't have to hire. You don't have to hire all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe I was wrong. Maybe you can see results that quickly. So there's no guarantee that you won't. But thank you for sharing that. But the key is, it's getting out of your comfort zone. You said you weren't sure what you were going to say, right? So yeah, change that story.
Sounds like you are good at doing
Yeah.
calls.
Anybody else?
There you go.
So what happens is the more we do the activity and we get the results we want, what changes?
It's like,
Our beliefs get stronger that people do like me, they do want to hear from me, they do trust me as their real estate professional. They will use me if I make the calls, right? So the cycle, it truly works.
and let me touch on something real quick. So the plan is, guys, use 1 hour minimum. We do 2 in our business. We want to do 2 hours a day. But if you'll start with 1 hour on Monday, at least an hour, at least 10 calls. So I say an hour minimum or 10 calls. So you got to be careful on the 30-minute calls, right? Get one client on the phone, you talk for 30 minutes. But you want to make a minimum of 10 calls a day or an hour, okay? But what happens is, if you get those 4 deals in process and you feel really busy, and I got this inspection, I got this appraisal, and I don't make my calls anymore. But if you'll do from 9 to 10 o'clock every morning, and guys, we have your themes. Monday is your VIPs. These are the people that you know, like, and trust you. And I heard something new the other day. They should know, love, and trust you, right? People don't just do business with people they like. They do business with people they love, right? So your VIPs, you may only have 40 people in your life that you would consider VIP. This could be your past clients that you love. It's going to be the people you love from church. It could be your sister, right? It could be your brother. It could be somebody that's close to you that you can call, and you'll call 10 of them a week. Every Monday, call 10. If you got 40, you're going to call them all once a month. People that you're really close to, is it okay to call once a month and check in? Hey, how are you doing? How's your business going? How's your family? Hey, by the way, if you know anybody that needs real estate help, I want to be your girl. I want to be your guy. So fairly simple call to make, right? Can everybody make 10 phone calls on Mondays? So if I think, man, I got to spend 4 hours on Monday and 4 hours on Tuesday, you're not going to do it every day. But 1 hour or 10 calls,
What are the
plan.
reasons, though? I want to hear that we don't make calls. Because I think I know the 2 or 3 reasons. Why don't we make calls?
Yeah. So hesitancy, they'll text you back. And here's the thing, some people do like text, so I like to pick up the phone and call. If they're a texter and you get in a text conversation, this is something they wouldn't allow us to do a while back, but now, if it's a text conversation, count it. It's a conversation, right? Some people will not answer the phone, right? The house is on fire, text me later. It just is what it is, right? So it's okay to count that. Yeah, you don't, if they're a texter, I still think you can leave a voicemail, and you know, and when you get in a deal, you're going to talk to them because you have to talk through deals and things like that.
Yeah, you can leave a voice text that isn't like they don't read it, they hear it. Mitch, I didn't want to leave you a voicemail. I was just thinking about you though. Wanted to check in to see how you were doing, right? And then that person may call you back because they've heard your voice, and they're like, oh, I want to, let me get to the end of the workday, and I'm going to call you. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, but also don't use that mentality no one's really going to want to it's kind of like
That goes back to story. I called one person and they didn't answer. Nobody answers their phone anymore. Like, I have 100% proof. One person didn't answer today, right? So obviously that's for the how many millions of people live in our country? All of them are like that person. They don't answer their phone. Like we tell ourselves a lot of times a story to keep us from doing what is going to make us be the most successful. We tell ourselves nobody answers the phone anymore, right? Like
A great example of that is I have a great friend, mentor. He He sent out a blast email, and his assistant was like, "We've got to stop the email. Everybody's unsubscribing. Like everybody's unsubscribing." He's like, "Oh wow, he wasn't real sure like what was going on." He's like, "Well, how many people have unsubscribed?" She's like, 8.
Out of how many?
And he's like, "We sent this to like 10,000 people." That's great. 8 people out of 10,000 or whatever it was. Like the number, it was like really small. But when you look at your inbox and 8 people have unsubscribed, it's like 0.1%. If he has a bigger database. So yeah, 1% of people are always going to be unhappy. If I flip gold coins at people, somebody's going to complain that I hit them in the head and I threw something at them, right? Eventually, somebody's going to complain about whatever you do. Doesn't matter what you do. So
I was going to say, I feel like the excuses that I hear a lot is, well, I don't know who to call and I don't know what to say, right? Or I don't know when to call. Because I get that excuse a lot too. Like, should I wait until 4 o'clock when people are off work to call? Like I call my database a ton of times at 10 a.m. This is what's crazy. This is going to blow you all away. If they don't want to talk to me, guess what they don't do when I call? They just don't answer. It's not that complicated, right? Like I have had people answer before and say, "I'm at the hospital with my fill in the blank," like my mom. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like I hope she's okay. Call me back sometime," right? That almost happens never because if they don't want to talk, they just don't answer. We overcomplicate it by thinking I'm bothering everybody. They're going to see my number and hate me. No. They're just not going to answer, right? But who to call is on the thing here. On Mondays, we call our VIPs, our top list. On Tuesdays, we call anybody who's under contract, buyers or sellers, right? You want to go through examples of this, or you want me to run through the whole list first? You have it in front of you.
Yeah, on Tuesday, guys, this is the best thing you can do for customer service is update your clients. And this is a good day to do it. 9 o'clock on Tuesdays, I'm going to update every seller that I have a listing. Hey, last week we had 2 showings. We didn't get an offer. One of the feedback said the yard was too small. Okay? Next week, you're going to update them. You're going to update every buyer. Hey, Mr. Buyer, this is what's going on with your appraisal. This is where we're at. And also, it's an opportunity to what? Ask for business, right?
Biggest complaint people have about our industries both is lack of communication, right? And when you tell them on the front end, "Hey, Brandy, got your house for sale. I'm going to update you every single Tuesday with a status, whether we've had showings or not. So just know on Tuesdays, I'm going to reach out." 100% of people say, "Yeah, that sounds good." And we explain to them, "I'm going to update you on Tuesdays," because the biggest complaint people have about realtors is they don't communicate. My clients just don't have that experience because every Tuesday I update them on the status. And if there's something that happens on Thursday or Friday, I'm going to let you know, but you're going to hear from me every Tuesday. And then when I call her on Tuesday, what am I doing? Fulfilling a promise. I'm showing that you can trust me. When I say I'm going to do something, I'm actually doing it. I'm always going to ask you if you know of anybody who's thinking about buying or selling on Tuesdays. I do that with all of my clients because what I'm trying to do is find a buyer for your house, right? So just know I'm doing that with everybody that I call, but I'm going to do it with you as well. So when I call you on Tuesdays, I'm going to ask if you know of anybody. So just kind of, be on the lookout if you come across somebody that might be buying or selling. Then on Tuesdays, I get to ask, and I've already told you I'm going to do that. And I've already said I do this with everybody because I'm trying to find a buyer for your house as well. Yep. And everybody says, "Oh, that's great. I want you to find a buyer for my house that wants to pay full price," right? So again, I'm telling you what I'm going to do, and then when I do it, I'm just fulfilling my promise.
Yeah. Then guys, it's easy. Wednesday, okay? That's your database. This is a broader spectrum of people. So not necessarily a VIP that's super close, but somebody that maybe you helped sell a house 10 years ago. They're in your closed database, and you may have 100 or 200 or 300 people in that database. But if you'll call at least 10 or an hour on Wednesdays, you should get through and call them up to 4 times a year. Every 3 months, if you're touching base, hey, checking in with you, how's it going? How are things at the house? Have you done any big renovations? Just have that normal conversation or leave a voicemail. They don't have to pick up the phone. And sometimes people are like, "Man, I left this guy 4 or 5, 6 voicemails. He never answers. He must hate me." And then he calls you back next month and wants a list. Like, "Hey, I got all your voicemails. I've just been busy. I've always loved you." And now they're calling back ready to go. Thursday, right? Yes.
Just real quick on the Wednesday one. That's a good one to do the alphabet list.
Yep. So on the database calls, what Chris is talking about is if you call all the A's, people that have a last name of A this week, and all the people that have a last name starts with B next week and starts with C the next week, you'll call through your database twice a year. okay? And that's a great way to do it. The only thing that can be a little bit of a struggle is your R, S, and T's. You're gonna have a whole lot of people, your Z, W, yeah, I mean, so some of those you won't have X, you don't have probably anybody in your database that week. Do what? he might have 20 of them, right? So, you know, you may have to spread out your S's over 3 weeks, and your Z you combine with, you know, the Y's or whatever. So, but that's a great way. Hey, I'm gonna call all my A's and B's this week because there's only a few of them, and then, you know, just divide it up to where you should be calling your database at least twice a year. Then Thursday is a referral tracker. That's your leads, okay? We're gonna show you the referral tracker. We'll share it with you. And when leads go in, anytime you get a lead, a name and a number of somebody who wants to buy or sell, you got 4 of them, right? In the last week, you got 4 new leads. They have to go on there, what they're looking to do, some notes, their phone number, because some people will call you and say, hey, I'm thinking about selling this year.
Spring.
I'm thinking about selling in August. My kids are doing this. We're looking at colleges, you know. Well, if you don't put that in January and have that somewhere that's saved forever, you know, I used to have a really complicated lead tracker. It was sticky notes. And they would, who's had a sticky note lead tracker? What happens to that sticky note 4 months later when it's stuck on your desk? You're like, Joe with a phone number, who was that? Yeah, it ends up in the trash and you don't have it. Guys, we're gonna give you something on Google that you put all your leads in. I can go back and show you from 2017 in August, our leads. I mean, I have it. I've had it since I think we started the new one in like 2017. So, and then Friday, and guys, if you're crushing it, your business is where you want it, we allow you to take Fridays off on the calls. But if you want to do Friday, that's businesses, like your CPAs, financial planners. If you want to call on builders to try to get their business, or cold calls to build your business, okay? So those are the days you call. And if you get, let's say 8 talk tos every day, you're gonna end up with 40 talk tos at the end of the week, right? 8 a day times 5 days a week, that's 40 people you've talked to. Who can get 8 talk tos in a day, right? If I say you gotta get 40 this week, it feels like, man, that's a mountain. If I say get 8 today, I can figure out how to get 8 today. Can you get 8 tomorrow? Yep. Can I get 8 the next day? Yeah. You do it over and over and over, and you're gonna build that muscle.
And after how many weeks in a row of talking to 40 people, will you be like overwhelmed with the volume of leads and business?
You'll start getting busy, I think, in about 2 to 3 months of doing this. Now, you may get it the first week, right? You probably have a really warm, you know, database. You're probably a lot better on the phone than you give yourself credit for. But most people, they got to do this because you're going to leave some voicemails. You're going to fight through, you know, the mundaneness of doing it on a day-to-day basis. But in about 3 months, you're going to feel like, man, I got a lot more leads coming in. I feel busy. My phone's ringing. I can only do this from 9 to 10 because at 10, I got stuff I got to do. But you got to do it early in the morning. If you say I'm going to do it from 3 to 4 every day, 2 o'clock, that home inspection came back with a problem. I got to call that buyer and tell them the roof is whatever.
So,
right?
But the way to think about this is 8 people a day, because if I said I've got to talk to 40 people a week for the next 10 weeks before I get busy, I've got to talk to 400 people, that's going to be however many hours. That seems overwhelming today to think I've got to talk to 400 people before I get busy. Does that make sense? If I think about, I just need to talk to 8 people today. And it becomes very bite-sized.
And make it really easy on yourself. If I'm talking to Matt Ollis, my insurance agent, right? And I'm saying, hey man, you know, we got this deal going with you. Hey, by the way, Matt, if you know anybody, I want to be your loan guy. If you know anybody that wants to buy a house or refinance, I bet he does. You think he runs into people on a yearly basis that need a loan officer? I coach in our company. We coach several loan officers in a group, and you look for ways, right? Like I had an electrician call me. He was at my house. Hey man, I'm trying to find the wire, or something was going on with the electricity, and he's trying to find it. Well, I had like a 20-minute conversation because we're going back and forth. And at the end, I was like, man, we've been talking for a long time. I just want to let you know I'm in the mortgage business. I do loans. And I'm going to share my contact with you. Please save me in your phone as the mortgage guy. And if you or somebody you know ever needs a mortgage, I'd love it to be able to help you out because we're going to be doing business. He's doing my electricity work at my house. He's like, cool. Can I count that as a conversation? Yeah. If I call a 1-800 number and say, hey, I'm turning in a claim for insurance, that doesn't count, right? But make it easy to have these conversations. It can be people that are calling you. If your client calls you and you pick up the phone, it counts. Give them great service. It can be the same person multiple times a week, only once a day, right? If I talk to Brandy on Monday And then I call her again on Monday afternoon because that appraisal issue, and we're trying to work it out. And then I talk to her again Monday evening. I talk to her 3 times on Monday. I count her once for Monday. Right? That's one conversation with that person. But if we have another conversation Tuesday, it counts. Does that make sense? So you can count it. The same person up to 5 times a week if you talk to them every day. And then, I went forward. We got face-to-face. How many people did you see face-to-face? Guys, in a group like this, if you're for us, we would count this as 5. You can't go to like a chamber of commerce and say, I saw 75 people. You need to have 75 conversations, 5 max in a big group setting.
But you have to have a conversation.
Have to have conversations. And then also break breads. We want to track how many people, like your VIPs, you want to sit down and actually eat lunch with them from time to time or have coffee and build a relationship. Have them to your house. I've had people to my home and had dinner, and it's really cool.
Listing appointments count for face-to-face.
Listing appointments count for
buyer
face-to-face.
representation meetings count.
If you take a buyer out on Tuesday to look at a house, face-to-face. Take them back out on Wednesday, look at a house, face-to-face. Take them back out on Thursday, look at a house, face-to-face. Right? So it's pretty easy when you're busy to get this form filled up. Events, this would count. We want 1 or 2 events a month, okay? So it doesn't say that on here, it says 2 per, but like 2 per month is plenty. This would count. So every month, we don't do these every single month. We do have an event every month. Sometimes it's movie night, right? But we'd love you guys to come out. But if you're coming to something like this, that would count on that week as an event. Videos, are you posting videos on Facebook? Are you posting your videos through email? Tracking that. Your theme day calls. So it tracks it at the bottom. Did you make your VIP calls? Yes or no? Did you make your Tuesday updates? Yes or no? Past client database? Yes or no? It tracks it. Just circle it. Did you do it? You got thank you cards. If you met 10 new people, or you met people, how many thank you cards? Hey, so thank you so much for having lunch with me. Hey, Mr. Buyer, thank you for choosing me to be your buyer's agent. Can't wait to get this done. Hey, Mr. Listing person, the listing that you just got. Thank you so much for trusting me with your listing. Can't wait to get it closed. Little thank you cards, handwritten. It goes a long way. Then last, we're tracking what we do all this work for us is how many leads are we getting in and how many deals or contracts did you get? If you got a listing agreement, that counts that week. If you got a buyer under contract, we want to count it the week you get them under contract. And then of course the closings are going to happen.
And it's a funnel. So we're going to talk to a lot of people to set appointments to meet with them face to face and have coffee and lunch and all those things. And listings. And then that's going to turn into, we're going to of course write thank you notes, but those turn into referrals, and then a certain percentage of referrals are going to turn into closed deals, right? So if we put more conversations in at the top of the funnel, at the bottom will be more fundings, right? The fewer conversations, the fewer appointments, the fewer closings. It's just simply math, right? So if we want to grow, we've got to add more to the top of that funnel.
Yeah. And guys, who can use this form and grow their business? I can. I did, I have, and I continue. This is what it looks like actually filled out. I wanted you to look and see. What we do, guys, we print it out, we keep it with us, and we just write the name. Okay, so I got some Joe Buyer, Jill Seller, Susie, and you might even see your name on here. Chris Ebert, I think I wrote you down. Chris Ebert was a seller.
Look at that.
All right, so guys, on Monday, you start at number 1, voice to voice. I had 7 calls that week. I make a little line, and then you just pick up on box number 8 for Tuesday. You don't have to go over to the Tuesday line. You just keep filling it up. So this week, if you see, I had 34 talk tos. Okay, and this is kind of a made up thing. And you want to set your own goals, right? You might not be able to keep up with Chris Ebert doing 60 talk tos a week. There are guys in the mortgage business that want to get to 70. Their goal is 80 because it's slow right now. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to get to 90 a week. I've done 100 talk tos in a week and it was too much, right? It's busy. It's a lot of work, okay? So set your own goal and then go beat it. If you want to start out like, man, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to set my goal at 25. But I'm going to go get 6 a day. That'll be 30 if you get 6 every day. But I'm going to get my 25. That'd be 5 a day, right? Make that your goal. At the top, did I do my morning routine? I got yes, got a couple no's in there because, didn't do it. My energy levels kind of up and down. Did I share my faith today? Yeses and no's. And guys, this is how you fill it out. On that right-hand side, you fill out the totals. Had 34 talk tos, 8 face-to-face, 2 break breads, did 1 event, got my thank you cards, got 7 referrals and 2 deals. Who would consider that a great week? If you got 2 deals that week, right? Plus, the deals don't even if you got 0 deals, look at the activity, 34, 8, face-to-face, a couple breaks. Like you're doing the work that's going to produce the deals.
Early on, you don't judge yourself on how many referrals and contracts came in, because if you're usually talking to 10 or 12 people and you start talking to 40 every week, that's not gonna happen like Dana for everybody in here where the deals just come in immediately. It may take 2, 4, 6, 12 weeks. And then you'll look up and at the bottom of your tracker will be 6 or 7 contracts 1 week. And you'll be like, you will realize, well, that wasn't from what I did today or from this week. It's because for 6, 7, 8 weeks, I've been like really focused and intentional about my activity every single day. We're going to move on to the next form, and as we're doing that, any questions or thoughts on this?
Yeah, I just want
From the, not from Mitch, from this guy.
I had a couple questions. With the events, are those events you're hosting or just attending?
Either.
Both?
Either or. Yeah.
And then with the database, that's probably my biggest hold sometimes. Do you have like a script you use typically, or are you just winging it?
Great question. Clint's really good at it. We both know, we call it FORWARD. Okay. You want to jump into FORWARD real quick?
We just, the acronym FORWARD, Family, Occupation, Recreation, Dreams. So when I call the database, I always want to have just a genuine conversation. So when I get them on the line, it's, I hadn't chatted with you in a while, so I just want to check in. How you guys doing? How's the family? Did you guys get out? Did you get stuck in the snow? Did you get out and play in it? Right? Did the kids enjoy that? Are they too old for that? Right? What about work? How are things going? Are you back in school yet? Were you able to get to the hospital, with the snow? What'd you guys do for the holidays? What do you got coming up, for spring break, right? Recreation, what are you doing for fun? Almost always, and this is what I've realized after making thousands of these calls, most people go, like we're going to Disney. But hey, before I don't want to forget to ask, what are going on with rates right now? We were thinking about maybe taking a cash out refi. We want to add on to our house. Like business just kind of happens. You usually don't have to ask for business because they will just bring it up. If you're asking about how's your family, what's been going on, how's work, they'll say, well, how's work with you? We just had a friend buy a house. They said the rates were whatever. And you're like, yeah, they went up pretty high. They've started to come down. You guys have been here for what, like 5 years? Well, what's your plan with the house? And they'll say, yeah, we're going to be here forever. Yeah, we're thinking about selling it this spring. Oh, well, you're selling it this spring. We should chat right now about getting you pre-approved. It just kind of happens naturally. But that's how we do it. It's just like you want to have a genuine conversation. I'm not a huge fan of, hey, how have you been? Hey, can you refer me 2 people right now before I hang up? To me, I don't want somebody to ask me that, so it doesn't feel authentic. I want to have a real conversation.
Some of my calls go that way, some instead of looking for the words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Again,
so
people love talking about their family and their kids. They like talking about work, and that what I find is as the conversation starts, the first minute is the toughest. Once you're talking, you can look up and it's 20 minutes in, and you're like, oh, I need to cut this off. We've been talking too long.
Yeah, and FORWARD, right? So that's family, occupation, recreation, dreams. I also talked to a big agent that I learned this from. So you may have somebody that you did a loan for or you sold a house to 7 years ago or 12 years ago. And honestly, I don't remember a lot about the family and the dog and all the things. And he's a big agent and he doesn't know them. So what he does is he brings up, hey, how are you doing? The small talk. Hey, have you done any changes to your house? Right? They remember a realtor as the house guy. The same thing for us. Hey, have you guys, and who has done something to their house?
Everybody.
Everybody's doing something to their house, right? I at least painted, we tore out the carpet, we put in a pool during COVID, right? Hey, have you guys done anything cool with the house? Right? So you can say, hey, if it's right now, how did you guys do with the snow last week? Did y'all get out and sled? And then if you don't remember everything about them, because sometimes that's an awkward conversation. I also don't want to be disingenuous and say, how's your wife? And I don't remember, all the things that, or whatever. Like, hey, have you guys done anything cool with the house lately? Y'all done any big improvements? How's the house behaving? That's cool. But that's a great way if you kind of feel uncomfortable because you don't remember everything about them. They remember you as the house guy. They don't remember your wife and kids either unless you do a letter of the heart, which we do. And some of our clients really feel like they know us because of it.
And then always gratitude.
Thank you for being a client.
I really appreciate you guys as clients. So we got to help you out a few years ago. I just really appreciate you choosing us as your lender, as your realtor, whatever. So I just want to say thanks again. And I know I'll chat with you again sometime soon. Again, I just want it to be genuine. And if I don't remember them as well, I'll still call and have the conversation. And a lot of times stuff will come up where I'm like, oh yeah, they had the thing like that. There was the one that had the appraisal issue or what, you just kind of remember while you're on the phone with them. What we end up doing is going, I don't know these people. I'll just not call them. And that's the mistake because they remember you.
70 to 80% of people, after they close, never hear from their realtor and never hear from their lender after closing.
Because the realtor and the lender is going, I don't want to bug them. Oh, they don't want to hear from me, right? And they're thinking, I guess they don't care because they've never called me since closing, right? We're telling ourselves a story. They're saying a story of, well, I guess my lender doesn't, I was just a paycheck maybe, because they don't call me, right?
What she was saying about like that
Chris.
year and all that, their past client, that maybe you haven't talked to in a year or maybe it's been 5 years. What is the script? Just a quick, one liner or whatever to get you to that kind of conversation.
I think if you haven't talked to them, so the question is if you haven't talked to them in 5 years, right, and they're a past client, is just say, hey, it's Chris, your mortgage guy. Number one, I will say thank you for being a client. And hey, I apologize. I know we haven't talked in a long time. I just want to call and check in on you. How have you been? And they're going to remember, oh yeah, you sold me that house or you helped me buy that house back in 2018. And then they're going to be like, man, it's been forever. And yeah, we were doing this. And that kind of breaks the ice. If you say, hey, I'm sorry that I haven't, and even on a voicemail, right? Hey, I haven't called you in a long time. I apologize. I'm going to do a better job and you're going to hear from me more often. I just want you to know I'm still a realtor, still in the business, and I'd love to hear from you. Give me a call sometime.
And the thing is, you only make that call once. 6 months later, when their name comes up again, you don't leave that voicemail again. You've done it. You don't have that conversation a second time. You're fulfilling the promise of, I'm going to do a better job of staying in touch with you. So when I call you 6 months from now, that's me fulfilling the promise. So I wouldn't overthink how I haven't called them lately. They're also not sitting around going, well, why isn't Daryl calling me, right? Like they don't think about us nearly as much as we think about us.
As they should.
Yeah, I'm always like, you guys haven't been thinking about me every day? This is weird. Troy?
So back to me one time, because you're having that full conversation, listen for, they say, yeah, we're going on vacation in 3 weeks, we have this whatever plan. Yeah, they don't lie and say, well, we're not. They say, hey, we were thinking about going on a cruise, me and my wife, and I'm following up together. Curious how that's done. Go ahead and set that in your calendar to follow up call or if their first kid's going to college. Yeah, we're a little anxious here in a couple months. We gotta take.
It's the best way to update your database with details is by conversation. What we do, and I know y'all do, and you should all do this. Yeah, we just had a kid, like, oh, what's his or her name? When was he or she born? Update the database, send them a gift in the mail, right? Like, it gives us opportunities to kind of love on them and update the database. Like our oldest, when we bought, he was in college, but now he's out, he's living in Charlotte now. Oh, really? Did they own? Or is he thinking about buying? But update the database that, the oldest doesn't live there anymore. Gives the opportunity to just keep everything tight and up to date because time goes by and things change and people get divorced and we don't know about it. And you've got both their names on all the mailers that go out. And when you talk to them and they say, yeah, we're no longer together. Oh, well, hey, I didn't know that. Let me get that updated. By the way, what did you do with the house? Can I help you with that, right? Like, there's opportunities all around us.
Yeah.
More conversations, more opportunities tend to arise.
And to try to wrap this up, guys, we want to be very respectful of the time. So this is the referral tracker, okay? This is in Google Docs. You can do it in Excel. I like something that can be shared because I can have it on my phone and at the office. So if I plug in one of these names on my phone, it's updated at the office. If I'm at the office and I plug it in, I can check it on Saturday on my phone. So we'll share this link with you, okay? And you can use this form, name, the source of where the lead came from. I want to know who I can think, right? I want to say Joe Smith here was referred by Jill Smith. Jill Smith's my past client. She's referring her brother, right? Or her whatever. Joe's Jill's brother, appointment set for the buyer consult. There's the phone number. How many times have I called? Did I get an appointment set? Are they approved, right? So, if they're a buyer, you want to know, are they approved or not? And maybe even put who they're approved with. Did I send a thank you? So those are the notes. Guys, on here, we have a little system where we highlight it green or gray or blue or orange. So really quickly, I can go back 3 months ago and I can see, hey, I need to follow up with Wes Miller because, I left him several messages and he never called me back. And that's been since November. I bet if I called him right now, maybe he would be more receptive in the new year, right? So you can go back and this is your Thursday calls. When you start keeping your referral tracker, you can go back to May of last year and say, hey, I'm going to make 10 calls today. Let me see who I'm going to call. I'm going to call people that got pre-approved. How many people got people pre-approved that didn't buy? Please raise your hand.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm not the only one that has 100 people pre-approved that are like, I'm not buying right now, right? So if you'll follow back up with them, if you haven't followed up with them, what's going to happen with some? They're going to say, I just closed last week.
And then
You're like, oh, that's my fault.
But when you follow up with the lead, it gives you the opportunity to turn around and follow up with whoever referred that lead and say, hey, just wanted you to know, I just talked to Chris Ebert, you referred him over last year. Thank you again for that. Actually, we're going to probably be out looking this spring, but talking to him made me think of you, and I just want to say thank you again. When we show gratitude, people are more likely to refer us another person, right? Yeah, if somebody refers you once, as long as you don't drop the ball, they will refer you consistently. So how to keep a massive action plan full is calling the referral source as well. Telling them, thank you, you're awesome, I appreciate it so much. I'm gonna, send them a thank you card in the mail, and then stay in front of them, they'll keep referring you.
And guys, we're going to share this link with you. Everybody that's here, everybody that's online, we'll share it through email. And it's a Google link. You can't edit the one I'm going to share. It's non-editable because if you start editing mine, you'll start putting your leads on my thing. So it won't be editable for you. You'll be a viewer. You just copy it and paste it into your own. Okay? And then you have it. You can do whatever you want to with it. And guys, number 5. So number 4 is the activity, the massive action plan. Number 5 is I think, again, it goes back to mindset, but it's seeing problems as opportunities. And guys, I believe we got to look to God through all challenges. Tough times are a reminder that we need Him in all things. We live in an imperfect world, but with His help, we will be just fine. Okay? And I think that, just the fact that we're in the United States, we're ahead of most of the world. We were born here. I had zero to do with that. 100% was grace. And if you think that you have built your whole life yourself, good luck with that going forward, right? Because there's a lot of problems. I believe we're guided. I believe we're blessed. And I believe that God has a huge, He's everything, right? And if you know that, when things happen bad, I know that God's going to get my back. Even if I fall down, even if something happens, I'm going to be okay. And I wanted to read Matthew 6:34, if I can find it on my page. Don't have it memorized yet. That's the problem. Therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. I love Matthew 6. It's the story. There's a lot of things in there. It talks about giving. It talks about how God takes care of flowers in the field and birds of the air. Yet, what do we worry about? What we're going to wear and what are we going to eat, right? God's taking care of the sparrows outside in this snowstorm for 7 days. They're okay. We're going to be okay. I'm 44. I'm still here through everything that we've been through. So I think putting that mindset and knowing that will give you peace. The Bible talks about the peace that surpasses understanding. If you have that, you're going to be fine in everything else. Okay. Then last piece, guys, you got to have accountability. Okay. You got to, if you're going to do this, I can say, hey, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to lift weights. I've got a trainer at the gym that if I don't meet, he knows I didn't meet him, right? And he's holding me accountable. And that's a huge piece of everything, of the gym, of work. So in my opinion, you need an accountability partner. You can get somebody in here, your buddy right here that just went through this. Hey, we're going to hold each other accountable. My goal is 40 talk tos a week, voice to voice. I want 5 face-to-face and I want 2 break breads. And then the leads and stuff, we're not going to hold you accountable to that because the activity produces that down the road. Okay? And the other piece of that is you can hire a professional coach. I've probably done more coaching or been coached by more people than anybody else in here. I got into coaching in 2011. It's called The Core, if you're familiar. I was paying $2,000 a month for coaching. Anybody in here paid $2,000 a month or more for coaching? Yep. So the Core is still a great option, okay? There are lots of great options out there. Southwestern Consulting is one that you can hire. Brian Buffini, if you guys know Brian Buffini, is a great option. But if you'll hire a coach, when you're paying somebody to grow your business, you do what they tell you, right? When I pay my trainer, I don't just sleep in because I got to pay. If I don't call him, I got to pay him anyway. So crap, if I give him a day's head up, hey, I'm sick, I can't make it, no problem. If I just don't show up, I gotta pay him. So do I ever just not show up? No, right? It's the same thing with coaching. So I think a professional coach is worth its weight times 10, or a mentor, somebody that can help you hold you accountable, okay? I mentioned Brian Buffini.
Yep.
Has anybody used Brian Buffini? You have? Got a couple people are using him now? Okay. 100 Days of Greatness. They got a couple different programs. What about you? What did you do with Brian? Same one? How was it?
Good.
It's good. Awesome. Yeah. So it lasted for 100 days. So maybe you need to, circle back and do that again. So, and this, you guys may have seen this before. We wanted to end with this. It's the story of Dick and Rick Hoyt. And I think we have a video, but I don't know if we can play it. Can't play the video. Go YouTube this video. Okay. It's a 4-minute video. Dick is the father. Rick was, is the son, and he was born. He couldn't walk. He's in a wheelchair. Dick had never ran anything in his life, and he started running with his son because his son liked it. And he was 40 years old at this point, and he started running marathons with his son. They ran over 3,700 miles in races. He completed Ironmans, pulling his son on a boat behind him as he swam I think it's 2.1 miles or something, on a bike for the 100-mile bike, and then pushed like this for 26 miles. So, what did he change? He changed his state a little bit. He changed his story of why he's doing it, a bigger purpose, right? And then he found the strategy, figured it out. I don't know how he did it, right? But he figured out how the strategy, he figured it out. If he can figure out all that to, serve his son, what's our excuse, right? Check out that video. It'll definitely touch you. It's a really good one.
The point of that whole video or behind that is the why. He had a big enough why behind why he did what he did. If, someone he didn't know said, hey, let's start running marathons together, he would have probably said, I'm good. Like I'm whatever I'm doing is working for me. But when his son said, hey, I want to start doing this, his why became big enough that he started doing that, and then it expanded to, a marathon is really hard. The other stuff, really, really, really like crazy hard. But if you'd asked him when he was 20, are you ever going to do an Ironman? I don't know if he ever talked about that, but it was probably not, he probably wasn't planning it. He probably wasn't planning on doing it with a second person that he was pulling along, right? But when the why is powerful enough, we're able to do a whole lot more things than what we think.
Yeah, and as we wrap up, guys, I want to give you one last quote. The amount of your endurance is in direct proportion to the clarity of your vision. The amount of your endurance is in direct proportion to the clarity of your vision. Okay? Who's in here ran a marathon? Man, got some marathon runners. Got 3 or 4. 3. Wow. They're all at the back table. That's the fit table. So I always love to ask this question. A marathon is 26.2 miles. Right? So your vision was 26.2. So your endurance got you to 26.2 miles. Did anybody keep running to get to 27, 28, 30 miles? Why? Your vision was 26.2 and I might collapse and pass out or die, right? So your vision, their endurance, how hard was it the last 5 miles, Mitch? How hard was the last 5 miles of your marathon? The second half. So the whole second half, right? But you had a vision. You didn't have a vision for 21 miles. If your vision was 21 miles, you'd have hit that 21 and that would have been it. You had a vision for 26.2. You got there and you're done. Like literally you crawl across the line, give me my Gatorades and my bananas and pickle juice and I'm done, right? But I promise you, had you had a vision of 30, you could have done it. If you did 26.2, you could have done another mile.
Come on, Mitch, you could have done another mile.
But you didn't have the vision.
We're all disappointed.
Well, I've got this trainer friend that she'll go run 6, 7, 8 more miles an hour.
There you go.
Because she's like, I gotta get my mileage. Like, that's her mindset, right?
Yeah, that's her vision. So the point of that story, guys, is your endurance is going to be where's your vision? Am I getting to 12 closings this year? Am I getting to 24 closings this year? Am I getting to 60 closings this year? What is your vision? And have it real clear what you want, and then you can get there. Okay? I want to make sure we touched on everything. prepping conversations for buyers about rates. Okay, I think this is a great question. Guys, as you're talking to buyers, what's going to happen when rates hit 5.25, 4.75?
Recency bias kick in and everybody's gonna buy.
Everybody's going to want to buy, right? Now, if you buy today, and let's just say rates are 6.5, if you buy today at 6.5, can you still get the 4.75 rate in a year?
Yes.
How? You refinance it. So you have to have the conversation like, listen, you can buy this house today. They're asking $400. We can probably potentially get a little discount or maybe get some seller paid closing costs. We're seeing a lot of seller paid closing costs. We're seeing some discounts on home prices. And then when rates fall, you can refinance and this is what you'll save. Or let's wait, okay? That $400,000 house, when there's 6 buyers on it, right, is gonna get bid to $410. Oh, and the cash buyer got it, sorry, right? And you get 0 concessions. So you buy now, you pay less, and you still get the rate down the road.
Give
So
me
if-
real life examples. The person who wanted the $400,000 house and had to pay $500 for it, and how much extra out of pocket that was, what that did to the payment. Or right now, maybe you get the $400,000 house for $390, right? Like, which one would you rather have? But like showing them the difference, like real proof. No seller paid closing costs, way above ask price, no repairs, or I can negotiate some of these things for you right now, and you're going to be paying what it's actually worth, not $100,000 above it.
We all
and
have
then
those
A
examples.
smart person will look at those and say, "This makes a lot of sense. Explain it to me one more time, and then let's go look at some homes." But I think we've got to like really have those conversations of, yeah, buying in 2021 was great, except for the people who paid literally 6 figures over what it was listed for.
We have that conversation. We actually have in our packet to our buyer, it's a whole sheet that talks about why buy now, and it gives an exact example. If you buy now, this is what you pay. This is the rate, an elevated rate. If you wait, you're gonna pay more for that house most likely. And even at a lower rate, it's still gonna cost you money. So we are also having that conversation for you. So if you have that conversation on the front end, then they talk to us, they're having that conversation twice. And I've had buyers who are like, man, I really just want to wait till the rates come down, and we have the conversation, and they're like, you know what? I want to go out and start. And I just say, look, go out and look now. It's a great time to buy. Don't buy the wrong house. But if you find the right house, put the offer on it, take whatever the rate is, and it's temporary. If rates go up, you'll be so happy you have the lower rate. If rates drop, call us back, we'll refinance it. We waive our lending fees. We have the rate drop promise. We waive our underwriting and processing. So they get it super easy. So we help you guys have that conversation.
And you have a great opportunity to go through past clients for last year.
Oh, yeah.
We're on the fence and side not to buy the rates and remind them of the why. Talk to them about the sweet spot and all the reasons why.
And there's also people that are surprised by how much their payment is lower. We had a guy that kind of came in right when rates were at their peak, and then he came and had a contract, and he was like, man, this is like $350 less than what it was a few months ago. He was really happy with where rates were helping him out right now. And what are rates gonna do this year, right?
Yeah,
We don't know for sure. We do believe it's an election year. I believe that there will be an election this year. I don't know. Will we have an election this year? So it's an election year. 2020, what happens with rates? Now there was COVID, massive drop in 2020. 2016, for those who are in the business, massive drop in rates. We got down in the low 3s in 2016, okay? Temporarily, it was about 6-month span. 2012, if you're in the business, low 3s, right? I don't see low 3s happening this year, but I don't expect them to stay.
That's what I heard you say.
It's happened 3 times in a row, so we'll see. But every year in an election cycle, you mentioned it, the people sitting in the seat don't want there to be record high rates, because that makes me look bad, right? Hey, let's get rates coming down. People feel better. They feel better about their pocketbook. They feel better about voting. And that's just, it's happened. 2008, we had a massive correction, but rates are dropping pretty much in every election cycle.
But we also usually see leading up to the election, a month or 2 or 3 before, people say, I just kind of want to see what happens, knowing that regardless of who's elected, they're still going to buy a house, right? Like, we don't actually see people wait 4 years because their guy or gal didn't get elected, but people do put it on hold. And so now for us as realtors and lenders, the time to get them started is now, because again, let's say rates drop 1.5 points from where they're at now, you're going to be competing with 30 other people trying to buy your house. or you can go out right now and buy one with little competition, maybe no competition. So these are really good talking points to have because we can help move people forward.
The next one is controllable activities. Did you have something?
I was just gonna, the one thing I've said is in a year, the rates are either gonna be lower or higher no matter what. So if the willingness is to buy, let's get in there, while the competition, or while the market itself is not as
Difficult. Yeah, it's a great point, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly what to say book. Short book about, and it is so important, the little nuances of what we say can make a really big difference. And just to reiterate for everybody online, you give them 3 options. One's the status quo, what you're doing now. 2 is, what was number 2? What they might do. Or the 3rd option, which is the best option, which is, yeah, take action. So, did you have, Craig? Somebody raise their hand? Oh, sorry. Yeah, so what we ask is if somebody closes, we ask that they make 6 payments, 6-7 months before they have that first, 1 month before they have their first payment. So usually about 7 months that we ask. But you don't want to close, and if rates fall that fast anyway, they're probably going to keep going. So, that usually doesn't come into play too often. If somebody buys today, they can refinance it later this year or early next year and be in great shape. So, the last one is millennials and just working with younger people, because I think you brought up, if you buy a house when you're 22, 23, 24, how much more time do you have to add equity? And how cool is that? We're working with a guy that's like 19 right now. He's pre-approved. He's about to buy a house, buy his first house. He might be 20. I was like, man, that's awesome. It's kind of weird when the date of birth is like 2002. Like, man, I was like, let's get out of college, you weren't even born yet. And he's buying a house. So I think just education, right? Now, some of them, depending on what they make, they can't afford that $400,000 house. So, but if they can, you have the conversation like, hey, the earlier you buy, the better shape you're going to be. And just the education of here's your options. You keep renting or staying home with mom, or you can do this. Or if you buy a house, let's look at what that looks like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, which is another thing we go over, how equity builds over a 15-year period and how they can really become wealthy through real estate. So I think we touched on everything here. Guys, any other questions, thoughts, comments? We're going to wrap this up so we can eat some lunch. Yes. I'd have to look. I haven't looked today. Probably mid-6s on most stuff. I mean, you can. It's going to be a regular conventional or FHA. I mean, I've seen some in the 5s. It may have a little bit of a charge points-wise or something like that, but you can get there. So a lot better than when rates hit about 8% in September, October. So it is based off the 10-year bond loosely. Okay, so he's asking some technical questions about how the market works. But no, you're good. No, it's good. So you can always watch the 10-year bond. And if those rates are going up, I promise you mortgage rates are going up. If 10-year bond rates are falling, mortgage rates are usually falling. It doesn't follow it lockstep because mortgage bonds are sold separately. And there's a discrepancy between the 10-year bond and mortgage bonds for risk, right? If you buy something from the U.S. Treasury, 99.999% chance you get paid back. Housing, there's foreclosure risk, there's risk, so there's more margin in there, okay? But as that goes down, you can kind of track what rates are doing. And the margin right now is a little higher because there's more perceived risk in the market with investors.